Good evening YouTubers, welcome to episode 47 of Shrigleytube TV. We've got so much to talk about tonight with going to Jersey. I've had to split this into two videos, so there'll be 30 minutes on this one, and then if you're still enjoying listening to me waffle, you can join me in part two for the second half hour. So we've had a really great time here in Jersey. It's been absolutely mega. My little motorcycle pistons and rods and the machine down crankshaft have performed perfectly. But unfortunately the driver ran out of talent. There was an issue behind it which I'll go into in the second part of the video, but I just want to say, if you ever think you've got the finances or whatever available and you've got time and you can come to Jersey for this festival of motoring, you really should treat yourself to a flight over here, because it's an absolutely cracking weekend. The show these guys put on and the way the people are is just lovely, brilliant. Had a great time, done plenty of interviews and all sorts of stuff. So hope you enjoyed tonight's video. I'll look forward to seeing you on next Sunday at 7. Bye for now. Good evening YouTubers. It's Monday night, bank holiday Monday night, and I've sneaked to the workshop for an hour because I've only got Tuesday and Wednesday to get this car ready before we go on the ferry to Jersey for the Festival of Motoring. So my idea was to slot this lump in. Now this is the 1120 with my posh downdraft head on it that I did a few episodes back. You might remember we put the motorcycle pistons and rods in it and we offset the crankshaft and then got it ground so that we could gain some extra capacity. We ended up at 1120cc, so it was really good. Now it ran perfectly and I have no problems with it whatsoever, but because it was all new to me, I've never done motorcycle journal size before, which I think was 35mm. And after my clever friend from Lotus came back to me and said, look, you know, realistically Andy, you want to be leveling this out at 7,500 RPM, as it will more than likely break at some stage. I thought before we go to the efforts of loading it on the trailer with this engine in, I'll just quickly whiz the sump off. It's literally 10 minutes I'll have a sump off it, and we'll have a good inspection of the crankshaft together and make a decision as to whether it's fit and we're going to risk taking it to Jersey to do the speed event, or whether we axe it and we go back to the 1040 and fix that. Okay YouTubers, as we discussed last night, came in late on and took the sump off the 1120. This is the engine that we built back in episode 28, where we offset ground the crankshaft. After machining it in the lathe offset, we turned it from like 1 5/8" down to 35mm, so like 41.25 down to 35mm, and we also offset it to give it more stroke. So you can just see inside there the back of the motorbike pistons. So we put the motorbike pistons and rods in and we end up with 1120cc. So I'm keen to use this in Jersey, but I just wanted to have a little look at the crankshaft and check everything was okay before we made the effort of taking it all the way there. So I've looked all around here for signs of hairline cracks or stress. Obviously it's a piston guided rod, so the rods are guided by the way they sit in the back of the little end. They've got like washers to stop them from moving, and that guides the rod, so it doesn't run a thrust like a normal an imp rod runs, like 4 thou clearance end float on the big end cap inside the crankshaft. Now what I was particularly interested was, because this crank was bent after we'd done all the machining on it, before it went for grinding I straightened it, you may remember, and I was concerned that perhaps it might have bent itself back to its original position or whatever. But looking at the middle main, it's absolutely mint, because if they bend the cranks, what happens is it takes out the middle main first. That's the first thing it does, and this is mint, so I've no concerns there. I've had a right good look around here on the side of the crank, because if an imp crank breaks, it always breaks in the same place. It's very rare we see one. I've only seen a couple, and they've always been at number 1. And my clever mate Dave, who unfortunately isn't with us anymore, Dave Valave, he said to me once, he said, if it's breaking at and don't ask me what this means in the comment section because I'm not educated enough to understand it, but he said if it breaks the crankshaft furthest point away from the load point, it's something called torsional vibration, which is some sort of nasty harmonic that sort of shakes and does certain things at certain RPM and basically causes the metal to fatigue. So when imp cranks race, and like with Ben, or we've seen a couple when he was using standard cranks and he was using 9,000 plus RPM, he broke the crankshaft, and every one of them was through the radius in the corner there. So what I've done is I've just fitted this Vauxhall crank damper on the front of the engine instead of the original, like that's the standard pulley that was on it. So I'm hoping that if we do get any nasties, that the damper, the rubber damper on there, will absorb them and help the engine last. But like I say, it's here done dyno time so far. It was good as gold. We were in a bit of a rush when I ran it. If you remember, I was trying to get something else out the door, like most things in my life, always in a rush. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be okay. So we'll put it together. I'm not going to have time to re-dyno it. I have to fit an oil cooler as well, put the sump back on, get it in the car, because we need to be loaded up tomorrow and ready to head for the ferry. Okay chaps, just to give you an update, it's Wednesday, just before lunch. I've been out for a little rip rouse around Trafford Park in the Hillman. It is legal-ish. The engine is stunning. The bad news is, and there's always a bit of a bad news clause, isn't there? The clutch is slipping. I just can't believe it. It has got a lot more mid-range. It's all right once you get it up to like 6,000, but that torque that this 1120's got, it's just causing it to slip a little bit. What I was going to do was I'm going to fire the engine up, because one thing I hadn't took into account when I had it on the dyno with the small motorcycle pistons and rods was its lack of weight, you know, reciprocating mass or whatever they call it. It's made it mega lively. Have a listen to this, see what you think. Okay YouTubers, bit of an update on the clutch situation. Now this is a very old super clutch, 5.5 inch with the TTV flywheel, the steel flywheel, and as you can see it's seen better days. Now I'm guessing from the information on the front that the clutch plate started off life as 200 thou thick. It's now down to 175. So it's lost 25 thou of its thickness, which is why the clutch is very high, and I've given it a right hard time basically, because as you'll know, when I do my race starts I don't engage the clutch fully. I keep it slipping so as to sacrifice the friction plate over breaking the crown wheel and pinion. So anyway, the point of what I'm coming to is this is a TTV clutch and centre plate, but that's even thicker. That's like 7mm. So I thought first of all, oh, we'll just put the new centre plate in here, but that will change the pressure, the preload on the clutch plate, so we can't do that. So then I thought, Gordon Bennett, I'll ring Ben, because Ben Bolt used to organise all these clutch parts through a chap called Tony Tewson, who was a very, very famous hill climber and sprint Hillman space frame racer. Anyway, he's not doing a great deal with these anymore. He says, I can get you a centre done. If you post it back to me, I'll get a new lining put on it. And I thought, oh, we're going down a road I don't want to. I want to move over to this, but I don't want, I'm getting on the ferry in 4 hours time, or I'm driving down for the ferry tonight. So I don't want to start changing things, because this height relative to the flywheel is different on the two different clutches, which changes the swing in which your clutch release arm works. I don't want to mess with any of that, because I haven't got time to get another learn. If it doesn't work, it's got to work first time basically. So I'm going to do something now which loads of you guys who are professionals will be like, oh my god, what is he up to? But this clutch is basically scrap. I'm not interested in it anymore. I'm going to move to the new ones where I can buy the parts off the shelf in a heartbeat. So what I propose to do, and I learnt this trick from my mate, the stock car racer Carl. He says, oh, we just used to, when the clutch plates wear out, because they run like triple plates, I machine the post down to get the preload up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in a 4-jaw chuck, and I'm going to machine 20 thou off the posts here, which will bring the pressure up on the centre plate. Basically the material that's been worn off that plate now, we're now going to take it off the posts, so the whole lot moves closer. So in fact what will happen is the clutch will think that it's got a full thickness plate again, but it hasn't. It's just the posts are shorter. You'll see in a minute when I put it in the machine, but this is all toasty, it's all at a hard time. So I'm quite happy to do it, because I know when I put it back in it'll work, and we can get it on the trailer and we can get to Jersey. Right, okay, I've just machined 20 thou off this post basically. I just clocked it all up, which was a bit tricky. So I took 20 thou off. So now what I did before I started machining was I zeroed the vernier. So now when we clamp on it, it should go to he says we get 20, 22, 23 thou. So that's what we took off it. So effectively now, because the clutch plate had worn 20 thou, and I've took 20 thou off this, well, it actually worn 25 thou. So this will all put basically 20 thou more preload on the centre plate, which hopefully will stop it slipping, just so we can get the weekend out of it in Jersey. And then what I'll do is, before we go to Brands, I'll put a full brand new clutch on it, and we'll have to remake the it's really important, the thrust bearing on this is a different size to the TTV, because it has to push on the end of the fingers, and it's just not prepared to start going down the road of reinventing all that at this hour. So for this will get us through Jersey, and then we'll sort it properly for Brands. Okay chaps, just under the back of the Hillman, and I've put the clutch back on with the original centre plate and the post machine down. I'm really pleased to see that the fingers are what I call in the start position now, so you can see that they are not quite level, they're just proud, so that when we press the clutch they'll just operate over centre like that, which is great. In the words of the famous Alan Milliard, that's just perfect. I'm pleased with that, I'm sure it'll work. And while we're here, I thought I'd make a point of saying, do you remember my drive shafts that we made? We can make it work this, and they were made out of the thinner standard imp ones, and we polished them down. Well, there's the white line that I drew on them, so they're still straight. That's good, isn't it? Means we've got half a chance. Okay YouTubers, we've got a very special visitor in the workshop today. This is Mr. Stuart Tranter, a very fast racing driver. He's recently had some very good results, which we'll talk about shortly. But I've not known Stuart that long. He's a lad from my local club area centre, and he's very kindly brought down a trailer for me to use, because my race box is dead tall and it costs a fortune to get on the ferry for Jersey. So thank you very much for the use of the trailer, Stuart.
You're welcome.
How you doing? You all right?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
Good. Right, now just to start, what I was going to say, we start at the beginning, Stuart. The reason I'm into Hillman Imps is all down to, I used to go with my dad to B&J Rolling Road Centre in Trafford Park, and there was a Hillman Imp there, and I was only like 8 or 9 or something. And he was your pal, wasn't he? Phil Taylor.
Yes, mate, Phil Taylor, yeah. Now lives in South Africa. Hello, Phil. He watches the channel. Yeah.
Oh, does he?
Oh, yes, he does.
Another subscriber. Fantastic.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Brilliant. So, Phil raced, was it Esselmeem Stiletto?
Yeah, in autograss. He was 2-time national champion in autograss, and I still believe the fastest Class 4 imp ever.
Really? Even over Darren Grasby and all the modern ones?
I don't actually follow him now, so I wouldn't know. And I think things have changed a bit with the tracks are different as well now, aren't they? Smoother.
Yeah. I'm not an autographs follower, to be honest, but Phil
also did some circuit racing in a space frame imp as well, which you saw.
I saw the black. I'm sure it was black with a yellow stripe, and I was at Alton Park, and I'm sure it got written off in practice. But maybe we'll be strained up on this by Phil if he's watching the channel. Yeah,
Phil will send you the comment to tell you what happens.
It did get written off at him though, didn't it?
He wrote, one of them was written off, Knickerbrook. Yeah. Phil will tell you exactly what, but I think he had 2. I think one was written off, and then he had another one, a red one, I thought. But
I thought with a Ford engine in it.
That's right. He played around with the 1700 Ford in one, yeah,
right,
as well, yeah.
So what we're going to talk about is I'm going to put some pictures on. Stuart's 70 years old, 70 years young, sorry, and he's just been at Walton Park. It was Walton Park, wasn't it?
Yep.
Tell us. You could do the glory, mate.
Well, it was the basically it's my first race this year for me, and in actual fact, my first race since my heart attack last October, and for the first time, I won both races. I mean, I've won before, but I've never cleaned up on the day, so I'm a two-time winner, so pretty pleased.
Mate, you're in magazines and all sorts, I believe.
Yeah.
I've got some snapshots you sent me, kindly there. So brilliant.
So happy days. Yeah.
Well, just goes to show there's. There was a saying, I can't remember what it was. Was it something like age and treachery wins over youth and something? I don't know.
I don't know. You're testing me there.
Right.
But it's worth mentioning I'm a big Imp fan as well.
Oh,
as
yeah,
you know, I've
sorry.
Had, 14 in my life.
14, and you've got a Ginetta G15.
I've got a G15 and an Imp Sport.
Imp Sport?
Currently. So I've got two Imp, and I've had a Clan as well.
Wow. Wow. Well, we're trying to get Stuart to come over to the CTCRC and race there, but he's got this Rover, turbocharged Rover. What is it?
220 turbo coupe Tomcat. One of the original, well, I'll say spec now because it's been reshelled once.
Right.
It's one of the original Rover Sport cars of the 90s.
And tell me, how many races has it done since its last engine rebuild?
Seriously, I mean, I'm talking races here, not race meetings, because so you're doubling up really in a lot of times. But it's got to be 80.
80 races.
Yeah, it's got to be 80.
Wow.
If you include, sorry, I will say 80 outings. There may have been some. I may have entered the odd sprint hill climb and track day if you add that in, but in terms of hammering the car around,
so it's on an original head gasket, because I always used to call them Rover Kettle engine, but it's not actually a Rover Kettle, is it?
It's the T series.
A T series. Is that an iron block?
Iron block.
Right, I see. It's not a Honda engine though, is it?
No, it's the
Rover.
Rover,
I know, this is the engine they put in the 2 litre, the big one, the 820, the turbo, the
820 turbo,
that was the police car. Fast then. Right. Well, thank you, Stuart, for doing a little interview with us, and thanks for letting me the trailer. I'll take care of it, and when I come to your place one day, we'll get some of your cars on. We'll have a look around the yellow Rover, if that's all right.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Yeah.
Belted.
Just have a look at my Imps as well.
Yeah, definitely. Top man. Cheers. Okay, YouTubers, we're on something very different this morning. I was loading up to go to Jersey. I've got to move this big van. I bought this to move my units. Now I'm fascinated also, not just by petrol engines, but by diesel engines. And this has got the 2 litre diesel engine in it. And my little Passat that I use every day has got a 1.9 PD version of this engine. And I'm absolutely fascinated by its economy. So this has had a cam belt issue. I've fixed all that now, but one of the injectors is bad, so I bought a spare one off the internet, and I thought before I put it in, I'll fire it up and we'll just see what the spray pattern's like, just to get an idea of what's going on inside the engine and when it goes bang, So I just thought I'd share it with you because I was quite fascinated as to what I was actually fascinated by was I put a clear cup around this and I ran it, and even after like 30 seconds of running it, there was only a tiny bit of fuel in the cup. Although when I run it now, you'll see it looks like lots of fuel is coming out of the injector, but it's such high pressure and so well atomised, it's actually not very much at all. Now also, don't try any of this at home because it's dangerous messing around with high pressure fuel lines. I'm just doing this just to show you guys. All I've done is I've left the original injector in, so it's still got compression, and I've tricked it by plugging the wire onto the new injector and also the pipe. So just we'll fire it up, and it's fascinating. He says he'll fire it up. Oh, don't want to go, does it? find that fascinating. Right, well, I just thought I'd share that with you for those that are interested. Okay YouTubers, thanks for watching part 1. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to head over to part 2, it will be just entitled Shrigleytube TV episode 47 part B, and we'll see you at the end of that. Cheers for now.